Today I am building in Windenburg, and I had taken a bit of a break both from Sims and just like uploading videos. So I haven't really done this in probably a couple of months. It's now May. I think I started my break back in like March. Can't remember when it actually began, but you could see that I'm kind of doing something different to get back into building. I have the house structure already set up, but I also have some doors and windows and plants and stuff picked out already that I'm going to use sort of to help guide me through the beginning of my building process. This was helping me to feel less intimidated by building again because after a while, I just don't know what I'm doing anymore. And I had this main structure of this build already built for a while before I actually am doing this part. So I guess I was doing this around when I was starting my break. And then I picked it back up maybe like a month later, and I was like, where's the video of me making the shell of this house? And I couldn't find it. So I was like, oh, okay, I guess I just didn't record it. This was me trying to just like place things down to get an idea of what kind of build I would want to do next. And I was like, okay, that's fine. I could just pick it up from here. When I did start this, I just had an idea of a very simple build. You could see it's pretty much just a rectangle, and I wanted just a little bit of raised up terrain leading up to a side porch, and so that's what I ended up having as my starting point for this build. You could see that I'm adding a little chimney off to the side because I thought it would just add a little bit more character to the build. I don't end up putting a fireplace in here because it is pretty small inside, which is unfortunate because I think it would have looked really nice to have some of the smoke coming out of the chimney for at least a video, but I was able to just get over because I'm like, there's nowhere that I think I can manage a little fireplace in this build. But because it's been so long, I didn't really expect this break to be this long. I thought maybe a month would most likely be sufficient time for me to get back into building. I just wasn't feeling very inspired or like motivated to build in The Sims back then, and I'm still kind of like still easing back into it. So I don't know how often I'm going to have uploads as I'm beginning to upload. I'd like to get back to like weekly uploads. That would be a nice goal to have. No promises yet, but I guess I can explain a little bit of what I've been doing since taking a break a couple of months ago. I really wasn't playing much of The Sims. I was also pretty busy, as like maybe it's seen in my community posts, but my PC fan was having issues. It was very loud, and I was like, I don't think I could record like this. And then I had to order a new fan, and that took a little bit of time to come. And then my fan stopped making the noise, so I pushed off actually fixing it until it was completely broken. And then I got it fixed. I was also planning my sister's baby shower in that time, and then she had a baby, so I was just very busy with a lot of different stuff that I just like didn't really open The Sims much at all. I was just playing some other games when I did have the time. And then this build video kept getting pushed off of like me actually doing a voiceover for it. And I was like, okay, my goal is to upload this week. And then I got very busy this weekend. And I was like, maybe I can manage the voiceover today before I have to go out. And then I can upload this week because I also just bought Paralyze and I really haven't done much in it yet. I was kind of confused by it when I opened it up. And then I'm like, okay, I'm going to try to do a build. And so this morning I also kind of just like made a person in it. And I found some cute like witchy cottage clothes. Like there's a mushroom hat. So I'm going to do a cottage build in that game. And so I would like to be able to do that this week and then upload it next week. So I was like, I would really like to get this build video uploaded if I can. It doesn't seem very long, so I think that's a reasonable goal, is to be able to upload this. It's currently like Tuesday, so I think I could get this done for tomorrow, which is Wednesday, which is like the day I was uploading when I was consistently uploading. I was doing Wednesdays usually. Um, but yeah, I don't think a lot has happened in this video because I kind of kept it slowed down a little bit. It's not as fast of a speed build. I'm really just taking my time, and I'm taking some of the windows that I had picked out for what I thought I wanted this build to look like, which might be how I approach building for a little bit while I'm getting back into it. I really liked doing this. I liked having the flowers, so I had an idea of what the landscape was going to look like before I started doing that. Also, just like a variety of windows. And so I didn't feel as much pressure while I was going through the build by section, which, if this sounds weird, I had to pause because I had a cough. So it's definitely sounds a bit odd to just like stop and pause. But yeah, I was usually when I'm picking out windows and things like that, I always feel like I'm taking too much time, especially with like having to edit some of it down. And then I don't really look through the catalog as like thoroughly, I guess. And I mean, I say that, but I'm using pretty much the same windows I use in every build, but just a slightly different mix of them. The one thing that you have seen throughout this video so far is me just trying to get the front of the house to look nice. So I went through some different like versions of it, trying different windows out. I settled on this look, which is just a little piece sticking out with some of the glass wallpaper type swatches, where it's just like a glass wall, just some columns to make it look a bit more detailed and like it is actually its own little window space. I was trying to find something to put at the top and bottom for that same reason. I thought it kind of looked weird just being like floor to ceiling like that, and I just wanted it to look a bit more structured. I'm using some of the wisteria that we got from the latest expansion pack. I thought it would look really nice in this build, and it works really good with the other flowers that I picked out. Like, I've never really used this jungle adventure flower piece that I put by the side porch over there, and I thought it looked really nice, and that's like one of the things that I found by actually taking my time and pulling out different items that I think I wanted to use on the inside of my build. And so I was able to use that in a couple of places. This cute planter from Enchanted by Nature, and I layered it on both sides on like, so it's like kind of hanging on the railing, which is like what I usually have in real life, where I started my garden as a little porch garden and just putting a bunch of flowers and herbs and stuff in planters on the railing. So I was going for that. I think it turns out really cute. You would have seen some of it at the start of the video. I really like the way this build turned out. I'm also using stained glass windows from the kit that came out around the new expansion pack. I'm kind of forgetting names here because it has been a while since I've built, but I really like how it looks, and I imagine the dining room would be over there. I had no idea what would fit in this build. It was pretty small. I think I needed to expand it a little bit to make some things fit, so I might have like made it a bit bigger in the back. We'll have to see because I really don't remember. And now I am putting in some of the landscape, and having just this handful of items off to the side of my build was so helpful in me landscaping because I didn't have to think too much because it was already set out for me. I had some different flowers of different heights around, some bushes, and I was like, okay, this is a good starting point to frame out a landscape for this. And I already have the terrain where it's just like a slight slope going up to the left to the porch, and so I'm able to just like put some flowers around framing the house, and then framing out that pathway that is already kind of established with the raised up terrain. And I went with just some purple flowers and some white flowers. I think that the tinier flowers that I have in the area where I'm placing that bush, I think I have some light blue flowers mixed in too. It's kind of creating a gradient, which I really like. And what I really like about the wisteria on the house is that there is a slight gradient of like lighter purple to a darker purple. And so I guess I was just incorporating that sort of thing into the landscape here. I really like those like hydrangea bushes, but they're like so bright white compared to everything else. So I don't think I end up using much of it. I decide to go in and just pull out some lavender, some of this base game grass, and use that to hide most of the slope over here. And then place some white flowers from the Romantic Garden stuff pack, which is my favorite stuff pack to landscape with. I think most of these flowers are from that stuff pack. I mean, like, I'm pretty sure in a lot of my build videos, I'm always using these. I tend to use the like red swatches for it, so I'm using something different this time with the white flowers and some of the blue and purple flowers, and then I'm mixing in some other stuff. Like I sorted by cottage living because I knew I would want some pieces of grass around the landscape. So I have some of that. And I'm just like looking through to see what else I can add. I guess I pull out this lavender from that too. And I'm like, okay, maybe I'll use that as well. So it was nice to have the starting point of what flowers were going to be like the main landscaping flowers in my build, and then go in and sort by packs that I know that I like, and add in just some more different landscape pieces for a little bit more detail. So setting up that front piece where I have a bunch of stuff that I want to use was super helpful for me. So if you're ever going through a period of time where you just don't know how to build anymore and you don't know where to start, I think kind of making like a mood board of what sort of build items you want to use for your build and putting it at the front of the lot could be helpful. I was going to maybe do something like that when I start the interior, but then I just ended up not recording me doing the floor plan and picking out the wallpapers and flooring. And so I just did that all off of recording. And I didn't pull anything else out. I was like, I feel like that is a good starting point. I think once I get inside of a build, it's pretty easy to pick out furniture compared to starting a whole exterior and picking out swatches and stuff for that. I feel like that usually takes me a bit longer. I think that I ended up changing the swatch for the windows that I had picked out. So I picked out the windows like that I wanted to use, which were mostly from Get Together, Enchanted by Nature, and no, yeah, I think that's the only two packs that I pulled windows from. Oh wait, no, I also did Cottage Living because I used that on the side with the chimney. So I picked out the windows from the packs, and I think when I was putting it on the build, I changed it to a different brown swatch, which really isn't that noticeable, but I felt like it looked a bit better with everything else that I was doing. And everything else just came together pretty easily after this. This build took me so long to build. I think I needed to just do a very slow build. I finished this over like maybe a month or two, maybe it was a month, because I had the structure done with the shape that I wanted, and then I put it down for a while, and then I did the exterior for it during like a week, and then the next week I did the interior. So once I kind of started getting the details in, it became a lot easier to finish. And then I just had to find the motivation to edit it and then do the voiceover, which I think took me the longest to find the motivation to edit and do the voiceover, because I had this build finished for a little bit and it was kind of just left in like my external hard drive, and I didn't really touch it for a while. And then I am pretty sure I started editing it last week, and now I'm doing the voiceover for it, which I was going to keep putting off until I guess I felt forced to do it, because I was scared because I haven't really spoken like this in a while, and I feel like that was going to be difficult. But I'm finding it not as hard. I feel a little bit more refreshed than I did when I was kind of forcing myself to show up, when I really just like couldn't, and I really just wasn't like having fun building. And I did need just a longer period of not feeling pressured to build and only building because I wanted to. And I did reach a point where I was building this because I really wanted to, and I was having fun with the landscaping and stuff, which I think I spent a lot more time on this build. I was a lot more intentional with what I was doing, which I felt like was really nice. and it felt different from what I was always building. I also reached a point where I felt like everything was very repetitive and it was like I was doing the same sort of builds with the same sort of items, and I found doing voiceovers were really difficult because I was like, I don't know what else to say about this build because I feel like I'm doing the same thing over and over again. Even though like the builds, when I look at them, they look different, but to me, while I'm making them, it just feels like I'm on autopilot because that's just what I was always just really liking making, and it was easy for me to just do. And then it became hard for me to like figure out what to say about them. But I feel like this one is, I don't know, it seems different for me. I don't know if I used a lot of different things. I haven't used these large purple flower bushes. I also really didn't use the jungle adventure stuff much, so those are kind of new things that I was using in the build. Um, I guess those like roof pieces that I put over the windows towards where the stained glass is, never really used that. um, I don't think I don't know. I don't remember if I used this wallpaper like when before I stopped building for a little bit. It is one of the life and death wallpapers that I feel like I often forget exists until like one time I downloaded a build for like a rags to riches thing and they were using this wallpaper. I was like, why don't I ever use this wallpaper outside? And so I was thinking about that when I was like picking out wallpaper for my build. And I don't know what that brick is from, but I feel like it matched the chimney that I picked out. I put some wall cracks around the build too, just to add a little bit more detail. I feel like the front of the build is just like is so many detailed flowers everywhere. I really love the front of the build on this one. I spent a lot of time doing this one, so I'm really happy with the result. The back of the build doesn't have as much, but I feel like I don't really look at the back of the build often. So I was like, I just put some flowers here, make it so it doesn't look completely bare back there, and I think it'll all work out. I do create a more defined pathway back here. I just add a little bit more flowers. It's really nothing, no like objects to use in the backyard. I think I make a trail down. I put a garbage can because when I was taking videos and pictures and stuff, I realized I didn't have a garbage can in this build. And so I added one back there. I feel like it's on a weird slope, so I don't know if you could really add much back there. Maybe an easel, something small for skill building. I think originally I was going to try and put a planter for gardening, but I do that in like every build. I didn't end up doing that. I think I put a couple of planters on the actual porch itself because it made sense for what I was doing. I had like a bunch of different plants, so it looked like they were just growing little herbs and flowers. I think I was making a porch and just a pathway that I would really enjoy in real life. I haven't been able to really start my like real life garden yet, which it feels super late. It's almost June now, and I haven't really been able to because it got really cold and then it was really rainy. And so I couldn't really plant a lot outside until the temperatures got above a certain point in like the nighttime, and it just like took a little bit longer. And so maybe I'll start my garden next week, which I feel like is pretty late. I have no plants right now. I usually have a bunch of herbs and flowers on a little porch, and I like to like sit out there and eat and color and stuff. And then I have another garden downstairs in my backyard that I usually have like vegetables and things like that. So everything is just super delayed until I guess I can go and buy some plants. I think the temperature is stabled out enough for me to do that. But yeah, I really would love a sort of like porch garden space like this one. I think this is like a dream space for me. It's very tiny, but I wouldn't really want anything really big. There's just like one of these picnic tables, and that blanket looks very soft. So it would be really nice to sit on, being surrounded by all these different plants and flowers. I probably in real life I would have more plants on the railings itself, but I didn't do too much of that, or else I feel like it would have been like way too much in this area. So I just put some different pots over here. I did take a video of this at the start because I really do love this area. I feel like it is like a very nice cozy spot, and you could see all the flowers in the front yard too. It feels just very tucked away, and I really like that. And I was mainly using pots that already had plants in, so your Sims don't have to take care of it. And then I put two empty pots that are sort of like the indoor plants that we got with Enchanted by Nature, and I threw those over there because they were just smaller than the outside planters and it fit the space a little bit better. But now you can see the interior of this. I already picked out the wallpapers and the flooring and stuff to just not have to spend a long time going through all of it on recording. And it was very relaxing doing this. I think wallpapers are like the intimidating part of an interior for me. I always end up just sometimes doing the same wallpaper in every single room, and the same with the flooring because I just don't know what to do. So usually I'll use like a wood panel and put it everywhere. So I tried some different stuff for this one. Like I'm using a wood floor that I don't really use. This might just be a base game one. I normally use like the cottage living one, but I was like, I feel like let me just try something different and use this one. I think it looks nice. I used a cottage living wallpaper in there, and I used some like other cottage living wallpapers, but just different swatches around in the different areas of the house. This is just a small entryway and a living room. So where that big window is where like a couch and a little TV will be. I think I fit in a bookcase around, maybe a little stereo, and just other decorations to fill in the space a little bit. I didn't go too overboard with decorating. I was like, okay, let me just do a little bit of clutter, not get carried away, because I think that if I do too much, it'll be hard to finish, and then it'll also be hard to edit, and it'll be hard to do a voiceover for. So I think I found like a good middle ground for it where it's just like it looks a little bit lived in, but it is not completely cluttered everywhere, which I think it was a good approach for this build, especially coming back from a pretty long break. And I also went with a bit of a lighter color palette. I'm using some more light wood, especially kind of like in the furniture, because I have the dark wood accents, but I think it looks really nice with some of the lighter swatches. A lot of my builds interiors tend to be pretty dark, but this one, it feels very bright in here. Considering a lot of the other rooms don't have a lot of windows, this main room has a big window, and then the kitchen has the big stained glass windows, but a lot of well, I mean, there's only three other rooms. There's two bedrooms and a bathroom, and they all have pretty like narrow windows from Get Together and Enchanted by Nature, but it still feels pretty bright in here. And I think that's just because I was using like colorful wallpapers and more colorful furniture. Even this couch has like pops of blue and yellow, and the rug had a mixture of different colors in it, and the wallpaper is just like white with different floral patterns around. And there's even like blue with the curtains. Do I settle on this green coffee table? Probably. So there's another little like pop of color. That one's a little bit more muted though. And I don't remember what rug I use, but I guess we'll see. I know I went through different like versions of what rug might fit. Okay, I think I did settle on this base game one. The other one kind of had way too much going on in the pattern, and I feel like it made the room a bit too busy, especially with just like the wallpapers already pretty busy, and so this rug looks a lot better. And some of the items are floating in this. I don't think I had tool mod installed while I was building this. I also don't think I had the free curtain placing mod, which like saves my life all the time because I can like better place curtains over the windows with that. Like there must have been a huge update that made me nervous. And yeah, because it was like the improved infant update, and there was just a bunch of stuff that changed. So all of my mods were removed, and I think I only had Better Build By back in while I was doing this. And every time I remove the curtain placing mod, I struggle so much because I'm like, why can't I place this here? Why is this not just part of the game? But I mean, I was able to place those larger curtains over the like big glass walls at least wherever I wanted them. I feel like if I had settled on like large windows, even like stained glass windows, I think I would have had way more trouble in that area. At least the other windows, it doesn't really matter as much. They're just tiny windows, and I just would place the curtains down and just deal with it if it wasn't snapping perfectly on there. And I was trying to decide which cabinets I wanted in here. I usually go for the base game one. Okay, do I settle on that one? Yeah, I guess I do. I thought I changed over to the other one. I was gonna say, yeah, normally I go for this counter, and I think I went with the one on the right, but no, I do go with the counter that I really like, and I think it does help because I feel like the other one was a bit too contemporary and also just very bright. And this one is like a good medium. I feel like it works really well in here. I use a cottage living stove, one of my favorites. I think that fridge is from the like country kitchen kit though, so it's a different one. Okay, I didn't use the stove from cottage living. I decided to switch it out for a base game one, and then I just placed some of these cabinets down. I was very excited to be able to use that specific like outer cabinet piece that goes on specific corners because I never can. And then I was like, wow, how am I going to like fit this in with the other cabinets because I'm using medium wall height, I think. And so that just makes the walls huge. Normally, I go for like short wall heights. So every time I don't, the kitchen always just feels very weird. But if the walls are down, you don't really even see this. But if I didn't put two layers of cabinets, then it would have just felt like, I don't know, unrealistic because you can't really reach the top cabinets, which in some areas you can't. And I did once again just minimal clutter in the kitchen, just a couple of items. That little chicken container I felt like was really fitting for in here. I never really used that backsplash. I think that came in like one of those kitchen stuff packs that I didn't buy for a very long time and then I bought, and then I used that wallpaper in here. I really haven't used it much. I thought that it looked good with the other wallpapers I picked out in the other rooms. I was trying to make the rooms like kind of feel cohesive with each other and like being like of similar color palettes a little bit. And I felt like this kitchen was very dark at first because it is. It's the only room that uses the wooden walls. And so adding the more colorful backsplash, I feel like helped while I was looking at everything. I also struggled with picking out a tile and flooring in here. I just settled on this base game one after probably going through a whole bunch of different like choices, but I think this was the best one for this build. I do love the little eating area in this build. I like each of the chairs. It's like four different chairs. But if your sim eats on the one closest to the stained glass, they do get stuck in the corner. And I had a feeling that was going to happen. I just like it too much to change it. So it's probably just going to be uploaded like that. Maybe I could just like angle the table slightly different so that problem doesn't happen. That like always happens to me whenever I put a table in a corner like that. The Sims tend to get stuck, but maybe if I rotate the table slightly, it'll help. But I don't really want to change the look of it because I really like it, and I don't want to delete a chair either because I feel attached to those four chairs. And now we're doing the bathroom, and I was using a different swatch in the Realm of Magic tile walls that I usually really like. I use it in like a burgundy swatch, I think I usually use it in. This one is like white with blue, and I never really used it, but it felt like it matched everything else that was going on in the build. And so I went with that one. I think it looks really nice. And it's just some basic bathroom stuff. I went with a blue shower curtain and just a base game shower and tub because it matched the wallpaper. And then I picked out pretty much some of my favorite bathroom items, which is just that base game sink, that base game like I almost said window, but it's a mirror, and just a little bit of clutter, not too much. And some of the Enchanted by Nature curtains, because I think that was when I was struggling to try to figure out what curtains fit the windows. And I was like, let's just go with the Enchanted by Nature ones. That's what the windows are anyway. And I sized them down and it made it a bit easier to work without my like free curtain placing mod. I think I changed the bathroom just a little bit when I get to the nursery room because I had seen an item that I thought would work in the bathroom. So I think that changes just a little bit. I'm actually really surprised that I managed to fit 2 bedrooms in this build. Like I was like, okay, I need space for a double bed, and I think that this room has just enough space for it. One side couldn't fit an actual side table because it's like half a tile. So what do I do? Do I just put a plant over there? And does that work? I probably do. I'm spending a lot of time going through and picking out a perfect plant. So, or maybe not. Maybe I do something else. Okay, well, I find a book and I put it on top of the bed. I think that looks pretty nice. It looks a little bit lived in without having to do way too much. I also really like this bed. I don't remember what pack it's from. Is that like Seasons or Cats and Dogs? I don't remember because I use that bed occasionally, and when I place it, I was like, wow, this is a really nice bed, and it also just adds in a little bit more bright colors. I guess I maybe don't put anything on that side of the bed like I had thought. It seemed like the plants maybe just didn't fit right over there, so I just decided to not worry about it. See, that's where the curtains were giving me a little bit of trouble. So I couldn't use one of my favorite curtains. So I just put in a different favorite curtain of mine, which is a different cats and dog one. Um, Maybe I used a lot of cats and dogs in this bedroom because I don't actually know which pack that bed is from. I also tried something different with the accent wall in here and using a plaid wallpaper on some sections with like one of my favorite floral wallpapers because like if I have accent walls, normally it is like a wood paneling, but I was like, let's try something different. I think I was trying to use that plaid wallpaper in the bathroom or somewhere, and so I was like, I really like it. Maybe I could fit it in here, and I think I like how that looks. I think it looks nice and it kind of like works with some of the lighter and medium wood tones that I have in this room. And now I have tool mod in because I just used tool mod to scale down the rug. So I could have probably fixed some of the floating items, but you know, I forget. And yeah, this is where I was trying to see if I wanted to put in like the wood burning stove so that I could have chimney smoke, but if I like I wasn't feeling it. So I just took a chair and put it in the corner of the room. I felt like it looked better. I was like, I don't want to add a fireplace in just so I could get the smoke in like the chimney and it feel forced and look weird and maybe just be like in a really tight area in the bedroom. I don't really like that because the bedroom's already pretty small. Like I feel like that mirror kind of gets in the way a little bit. Only when I was taking pictures, I realized maybe it's just like out of place. I decided to just keep it there anyway. I thought the room needed a mirror, and I didn't really like the ones that just go right on the wall for the space. And then I decided to do a nursery. My sister just had a baby, so I was feeling inspired to make a little nursery, and also the infant update was coming out, which I was playing around with. Like had a new family that I was playing with in the last couple of weeks. I don't know if the infants are better now where the Sims don't freeze. Maybe because I used to get very frustrated with that, and that's what made me stop my like second 100 baby challenge playthrough. So I think maybe it's a lot better because I didn't get very frustrated. And like while I was building this and taking my break, I've been wanting to do another 100 baby challenge just for myself. And then I built a 100 baby challenge house and I hated it. And I edited the video and then I never did a voiceover. I wasn't planning on it. And so I just abandoned that. And then that's when I went on my break. I think that was like the point where I was just like, yeah, I need a break because I'm just not liking what I'm making, and so let's just not make anything for a while. And I think it paid off because I actually really love this build. I love the exterior and the interior of it. like in the last months that I was just building, I feel like there was parts of my build that I just wasn't really liking in some of them. And so a break is a good reset. I really like this nursery too. I was going for like kind of like a forest theme. I was using like some of the new items from like the Alice in Wonderland kit that I was gifted that came out. I really just haven't had the time to look at a lot of the new content. But I really like that chair with the little mouse on it. I think it's very cute. And so I used it in here. It fit the theme that I was going for. And I was like placing some stuff around. I thought that the changing table wouldn't be functional by the end, but I did move in my family just to play test some stuff, and everything worked fine except for that chair in the back corner where the Sims get stuck in. So that was like the only area that there was a problem with. And I thought it would look really nice to have these fairy lights hanging up and just like the one accent wall of the woods, and then the other walls have sort of like herbs and mushrooms and bunnies on it. I really love this nursery. I think it came out really cute. And it ended up inspiring the room in the like family that I'm playing currently. Their nursery was sort of this theme too. I didn't do a speed build of it. I didn't record me building it because I was like, this is just like a very standard suburban house. I don't think that it needs to be a video. And it's like part of me wishes I recorded it because I was like, maybe it would have been nice to have something else to upload right away while I'm getting back into it. But I might even just take that layout and redo another house that's similar, just with more going on, because I didn't do a lot to the exterior or interior at first because I cheated money just to build a house so that it wasn't like just a horrible house because I really wanted to enjoy playing in it. So I like didn't put too much in it though, and so I was like having the family grow into it. I think that would have stopped me from wanting to upload it anyway, considering it didn't have a lot going on. So maybe that'll be something I recreate and I upload, because I don't really have any more plans right now of what I want to build next, and I'm just going to go off of what I'm feeling inspired to and what comes naturally for me when am building again. I am planning on doing the like Paralives build. I don't know how much I'm going to enjoy the game because I haven't really seen much with it. Like the gameplay confused me a little bit because there was like tasks and stuff, and so I was like, okay, I need to just like take a step back and then revisit that and just build something. So I don't know, but I'm looking forward to trying out and seeing what sort of objects are in that game, because that might end up being sort of like a build with me style video. It's a bit longer of exploring stuff. And then I'll figure out what I want to build in The Sims next. But this was a really good like getting back into things. I'm really happy with the result of it, and I feel like I finally have a build that I'm proud to share with everybody. And thank you so much for being patient with my lack of uploads. And it's really nice to get back into uploading and to get to talk to you all again this week. So I'm hoping to be able to do this more often, and hopefully I'll see you next week with a Paralives build video.